Peter D. Hi, Don. What was Gorilla Monsoon's role backstage, and did you have much to do with him?
Um, Much to do with him. No, he started as an agent. He was when I, he was an owner too. Before it was Vince Senior was still running it was still his company, and so you had Monsoon, Skolin, Phil
Phil Zacco.
Zacco, and Savoldi, Angelo Savoldi. I don't know how many times, but he had towns around high schools and VFW clubs and stuff around Jersey, New York, Brooklyn, and that those areas in town that Vince would let him run. Like Skolin had White Plains and some of those towns above New York City and stuff like that. So Monsoon started. He was an agent and a contributor. He was a major part of the office and a major before he got into the announcing. And he was big around Philadelphia. Um, but when I first run through there, he was pretty much just an agent, take care of his the portion of the shows he had. And like I say, he had Philadelphia and Boston. He had a big, had a big push in those southernish type of cities, south of New York City and New Jersey that he had a lot of influence. And then gradually, he became an announcer and color man and, interviewer, and he grew into that role afterwards. That was after he sold out to Vince Jr.
I always liked that he was billed as like a wild man from was it Manchuria where he was meant to be
Yeah,
from?
yeah.
And it's like he was a wild man. He never spoke. Or he might have growled or whatever. And then he retired, and all of a sudden he was a well-spoken, erudite commentator. All of a sudden, that must have thrown a few people off at least.
I imagine, yeah. He's one of those guys that when you talk about Mount Rushmores, where you have the Bruno and Gagne and Luthez and Gorgeous George, or whoever your fourth, your champ. You've got to have an opposing Mount Rushmore for the guys, the Killer Kowalskis and the Gorilla Monsoons and the other guys that made these guys, that made Bruno and stuff. How many Bruno and Monsoon and Bruno and Kowalski and those are legendary feuds that go back through the '60s and late '50s and '60s. Those are the feuds that made Bruno. That what Bruno is. So yeah, I think you have to go to an alternate universe, a parallel universe to put Mount Rushmores up of heels and stuff that created these guys. He was told to go to jobbers. There wouldn't be any superstars. There weren't any guys to they frown on the word jobber now. They call it enhancement talent.
Enhancement talent, yeah.
But basically, I was a jobber. Hell, when I was a champion and a main eventer. But I was basically a jobber for Hogan or the promoter or whoever was coming in, and I was one of the top heels of the territory. Everybody's a jobber. The only one not doing jobs is Vince, and then he put over Stone Cold to make more money. So
Yeah, but you jobbed your way all the way to the bank as well, so it's hardly like the worst job in the world. I'll give you a couple more on gorilla and the gorilla position. When was the first time you heard that term? And just explain. I'm sure most people who are watching this, or a lot of people who are watching this, know what is the gorilla position and what was it in the WWF in the '80s.
The gorilla position is sitting you control, ready, set, go. You got your entrance. It's time for you to go in the ring. You go. Prepare. Here comes they put I was sitting with Jerry Briscoe and Monsoon, and they go, excuse me, and it would go where they had the match and the time and everything down, and the referee's got an earpiece and let's go here, get out of that, drop that, let's go home, let's finish, and stuff like that. So that was the gorilla position. I never worked. I never was part of it. I witnessed it one time, but they never had that. When we were when we were working. You just pretty much, rely on your own timing and your own, you get a cue or something from a referee or something.
The bow tie starts spinning.
Yeah, the bow tie sort of starts circling. When you get a cue, it's time to go. Or, you're gone too far. Or hurry up, or getting close. But there was never, one-on-one.
Was it
Jerry Briscoe?
Sorry, was it called the gorilla position when you were there, or was that an after thing?
After.
Sorry, you're saying Jerry Briscoe again. Sorry, I interrupted.
Yeah, Jerry Briscoe and Monsoon had that. Let's go 7 minutes. Okay, get out of the headlock and start making a comeback. Let's get ready to go. And they'd be coaching the match from the gorilla position behind the curtains.
It's funny. When I went to university, I studied media broadcasting, and it in TV terms, it'd probably either be the producer or the floor manager. So the person who, they don't direct the audience, obviously, but the person who keeps everything on time and brings people on and off, and that kind of.
Yeah, but they're hooked up with the truck outside too. So everybody's, it's kind of a coordinated. Because the truck's running the time. The guy, the TV people running the time. So they know, how much they want to slot it into their part of the main vehicle going out. Mm-hmm. So the from the up to the truck, to the gorilla position, to the referee in the ring, to the wrestler performing the act of sacrifice.
Just one more on gorilla. I've asked a lot of gorilla questions, but did you ever witness gorilla's love of casinos or restaurants?
Oh yeah. Well, gorilla's there's a lot to talk about. He's an interesting man. He was an amateur wrestler up at Ithaca College. When I was first, I met him, and his appetite was just before he stopped losing weight. So I was at dinner, and it was this Abraham Lincoln Hotel where the Vince Sr. and these guys. It's like my first night at TV there in Pennsylvania, Allentown, Hamburg Television, and they'd bring you one of the old Pennsylvania type restaurants. They'd bring you a full tureen, a big pot of soup. And I remember sitting at the table and Monsoon asking for a whole bowl of soup, whole pot of soup. And, I guess he does eat that, he does eat like that, so because they, normally you just bring it out and share it with 2, 3, 4, however many, a bowl of soup. You'd have a regular bowl of soup and it would accommodate, several people. But yeah, I remember him. And he was he played Baccarat. Yeah, I remember
like Bond.
Yeah, he played the Baccarat in Atlantic City. He was always in New York, we call it New York, WW. But the New York, they were notorious for their card games and stuff back then. So I mean, the first thing everybody would do is just set their bag down and bust out the deck of cards. And they start Skolin and Johnny Rods, Cicluna, and Monsoon be walking around, and he'd buy. He had the money. And he'd just buy the pots, and everybody'd be betting on their cards, and they just deal Monsoon a hand, and he'd be yelling from a locker, put in 20 for me. I bet I bet 5. He's still not looking at his hand, and that kind of stuff. But yeah, he was he liked to gamble, liked to play cards. All those guys loved playing cards.
It was all cribbage though, wasn't it? Back in the locker room.
Yeah. Yeah, they have all these like down the docks in Pepito, but they have these insane games that the extra jack or high card here and low card pays off, low in the hole, and all these other stuff. They'd be splitting pots and stuff all the time.
Yeah,
they're always had something going.
I'm going to give you a fact about me. I can play cribbage. I can play baccarat. Even there's weird different versions of it, and I can also play mahjong. like the proper tiled stuff. I don't know if like you were ever exposed to that. We know with all the Japanese influence in Hawaii.
When I was young, I cribbage. I used to play cribbage a lot. I used to like play. Fuji and me, Fuji, Snuka, Andre always played cribbage. Andre was a good cribbage player. Baccarat, I know nothing about. I was just reading the Bond books. It's hard understanding Bentea and all that.
It's Swivi and stuff like that. It's a game of pure chance. You either bet on yourself or you bet on the dealer.